8:52. It's time to get unscrewed with Jason Bryant, unscrewed.co.nz. Jason_Bryant on Twitter as well. Welcome back, Jason.
Thank you, Wammo. Friday again. Man, this rolls around, eh? So quickly.
It does. But has it been a good week? Wine-wise?
Wine-wise.
Whining around?
Do you know what? I have taken a week off this week because I had an injury to myself and felt a bit under the weather.
Oh.
So I've done no reviews. I've been writing a few articles ready to post and to do and to send to people. But I have done no video reviews. I've had a complete week off.
Bit of a bike strain?
No, I went to bed on kind of Tuesday and I've really damaged my back.
Oh, the old back.
The lower back. And so I have just done nothing apart from take codeine and Nurofen.
You can take a good back for granted, can't you?
Yep. But a bad back, once you get it, all over Red Rover, and it incapacitates people. And so that's really been my week. Although I tried to go out on the bike this morning, and I did, but I was a lot slower because I just felt, even though I'm quite static in the saddle, the muscles that drive the glutes kind of really played havoc with my lower back, so I had to take it nice and easy.
Well, I'm really sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah. So there's been no wine. I haven't tasted, drunk.
Well, this will be the first drop.
This is the first drop of the week.
Because there's that new campaign out where they're asking people to
abstain for 12 weeks.
Is that okay?
Yeah.
Through the whole week or just on a Saturday night? Because it's called Sunday morning or something. Retain Sunday morning.
I can't work out whether it's just the moderate your drinking on a Saturday night or whether it's abstain for 12 weeks, 12 Saturdays or something like that.
I think the whole abstaining thing from anything mostly is a bad idea, right?
Yeah, so right. I think we need to teach people moderation.
Message. Moderation, that's right.
We need just take two or just have two, right? So just have 2 glasses of wine or 2 beers, right, on Saturday. Find some kind of fancy tagline for that kind of message, and I think we need to drive that home. Also, you can't. I don't think that you can just tackle the problem just on a one-prong approach.
Yeah.
I think it's a cultural, societal issue,
which has never been. It's been talked about, but never ever been addressed.
Bringing back the lunch hour where you've got to leave your desk. I know people and companies would hate it, right? But I think that we need to get more friendly and social on a lunch hour. I think then we get productivity back up in the afternoon. I think that if you have make it acceptable to have 1 glass of wine at lunch, right, and still go back to work. Then you reintroduce this whole thing that you can have 1 glass and leave it and then go back to work.
You only have to walk down Ponsonby Road. Plenty of people doing that.
No, but that's a Friday. They're having the afternoon off, right?
Yeah.
Make it acceptable. Make it less taboo that you've had a glass of wine at lunchtime. Right? This is the whole thing about alcohol. The more you kind of raise its profile by saying you must abstain 3 weeks, Feb fast or whatever it is, don't touch alcohol.
It's like diets as well. Abstain from fatty food, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah,
it's all in moderation. We always hear about these other countries who have a better drinking culture or something. What does that mean? And say, how do we compare against, say, England?
Oh, we're just the same, right? We've just got a smaller population, right? But if you look at it on a per capita basis, I know New Zealand loves that kind of per capita this, per capita that. We've got the most yachts in the world per capita. Drives me insane, right?
Yeah.
We're no different. There are some European countries and parts of European countries that have a different drinking culture. As soon as you have a big city, right, where you have immigration, you bring in a hodgepodge of cultures, right, and being that Britain's just across the door, just across the sea, kind of you have a large migratory kind of population within Paris itself or within Lyon or whatever. You introduce the British drinking culture and it is kind of, it was always taboo. Now the adverts tell you it's taboo, tell you to refrain from drinking, abstain from drinking. So the mentality is that I've got to drink in that short period of time, right? And rather than drink for social reasons, we see all these police programs on TV about drunk people getting arrested and stuff like this. These are just vehicles to highlight what happens, right? They make it fun because it's anti-police, anti-establishment, and so the youth are going to do it, right? You tell them not to, they're going to do it. We need to change the message to say it's acceptable to drink. Have a glass of wine at lunchtime. You then teach people how to drink responsibly by having that one glass of lunchtime, then going back to work.
Okay, but I guess
having
that would
one
be...
glass of wine with your kids around, right? And then carry on parenting.
I just wonder how that message. I mean, that message isn't as sexy to communicate, is it? Particularly in an advert form.
No, it's not, because kind of the obviously the beer companies don't want you to just drink one, right? They want you to drink half a keg, right, or 3 bottles of wine, stuff like this. But ultimately, they will thrive because it becomes socially responsible as a nation. You do end up possibly drinking more as a nation, but in over a longer period of time.
Okay, all right. Well, we're certainly not going to abstain this morning.
No, we're not.
What have you got?
Because it was pretty cold in Auckland last night, right? Wet, miserable, cold. Yep. We switched the heater on in the house for the first time last night. And
really, for the first time, only last night. It's been cold for a few nights now.
Well, perhaps we're hardy poms, right? They breed us tough.
Yeah.
So I thought a red wine. I was thinking kind of on the website, one of the most popular pages is mulled wine, right now. You know, as soon as it gets cold in New Zealand and Australia, right, that's one of the biggest hit pages, mulled wine, and how to make it. There's a recipe on the site and stuff like that. So I thought, red wine, by the fire, cold, warms the cockles of the heart. Yeah. Right, that's what we're going to do. Yeah. So, this is a Cabernet blend. It's from Abbey Cellars, and it's a 2009. It's predominantly Cabernet Sauvignon with Cabernet Franc, Malbec and Merlot to kind of plump it up, give it some structure. Got
a nice label, a black and white label. Look out for that on the shelf.
And Abbey Cellars, and it's called The Prophet. There. So it's all hand-picked fruit.
It's got a silver medal of some description.
Yeah, and Wine State magazine kind of label as well, recommended, and the Romeo Brigato, which is a wine show kind of event that happens in New Zealand once a year after Romeo Brigato, who kind of was at the research station just south of Auckland. So it's named after him. Researching wine in New Zealand back in the day, kind of like I think 1800s, 1900s, around that kind of time, and
so it says Cabernet blend.
Yeah, so this would be a kind of Bordeaux style wine. If it was from Bordeaux, it would be kind of left bank because it's predominantly Cabernet Sauvignon rather than Merlot. But it's got Cabernet Sauvignon 54%. 22% Cabernet Franc, 15% Malbec and 7% Merlot. Right. So you're more on that kind of left bank than you are right bank. And one of the things with Cabernet it's quite a small berry but with tough, thick skin. So you get really deep colour, but it's also very difficult to get ripe unless you're in the right sites. So if you're not in the right sites and you don't get your fruit perfectly ripe, you end up with a green character, a stalky character running through your wine.
Be interesting to see what the harvest is like this year with some bad weather over parts of the country for that.
I mean, obviously Gisborne, Hawke's Bay, pretty darn tough. Central Otago, parts of Marlborough, Martinborough, kind of this late kind of autumn sun that we've had, this Indian summer, been fantastic for them. Waipara is the same, but everybody was kind of picking late or later. Okay. But the yield will be down kind of nationally 30+%, which is really good for the market because it'll raise the prices, and so hopefully we get a few more winery is able to pull through this economic crisis. So you will get 2009 started off really, really warm, and it was quite a nice dry summer.
Yep.
So the fruit did manage to get ripe. So we shouldn't smell any greenness, any stalky characters in there.
Very dense smell.
It is a dense smell. I get this kind of dried, almost dried black fruit character, which has got a bit of kind of sugar sprinkled over the top, kind of then covered with a bit of kind of dried herb, kind of mixed dried herb. And then you get an oak kind of character there as well.
These would have been aged in oak barrels?
Aged in oak, bottled, then released.
Yeah.
I get this kind of, not on the nose, which I thought I would, but I almost get this kind of sandalwood. I get the black fruit, I get the bramble, I get the dried herb. That's all at the front. Then at the back, I get this kind of sandalwood, almost cigarette box kind of character at the back.
Not ashtray.
Not ashtray, but the actual, where the wood has been burnt with the cigarettes, and you get that kind of almost tarish cigarette, tobacco kind of character at the end. That's what I get.
It's not smooth, is it? It's quite grippy.
It's got a little bit of grip. Still young, kind of. We're only talking 3 years, but it's got this really nice, precise acid that goes from front to back, that carries all the fruit all the way through, and so it's quite seamless in its transition from front palate to back palate.
It's got quite a punch, eh? It's packs a lot of flavour.
Yeah. So you imagine this kind of warmed up a little bit, kind of like when you're next to the fire. It's going to make it a lot more kind of full, and I think that will just really kind of lift this wine.
Yeah.
I really like it. Like, sits at the $20 mark, so value-wise, I think it's fantastic.
That was the Abbey Cellars Hawke's Bay Cabernet Blends Profit 2009. And you'll find this as a video once more up at unscrewed.co.nz. And Jason_Bryant on Twitter as well. Thanks very much, Jason.
Pleasure.